Welcome to Storytime. My name is Rosemary, and today I'm here with Jazz. If she'd like to introduce herself. Hello, Jazz.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine, but Jazz for short. I'm in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, and I'm a quantum healing practitioner, which is um, basically is channeling your own subconscious mind in a safe space. So that's what I like doing um, in a spiritual level. But I'm originally from El Salvador. I was born there, and I came to Australia when I was 9. There was a bit of a war happening in El Salvador, and we had to move here, seek asylum, and I have been here ever since. So you know, first we had to learn English and get used to the culture here, which was a bit of a shock. But being so young, I I don't really remember too much of. I don't remember it being an issue, so I just learned everything that there was to learn in regards to the culture and made a few friends, but not too many because I've always been sort of a loner, if you would. Always just my brothers would always make friends quickly, and I was just pretty much just sitting around on the monkey bars, doing to myself, daydreaming away until I think the teachers thought that it was a bit of a problem when I was in year 5, and they called in my parents to tell them that I had no friends and to discuss how they were going to get me used to everyone around me, um, which I never saw as an issue. But, my parents were worried and they said I had to talk to people. So in year 6, I started talking to people and I noticed that I could make people laugh. So that's what I started doing. Started making people laugh, at me, obviously. Yeah.
She's
They want to, yeah. So I started making more friends then. And then but I moved schools a lot. So I was going from school to school. So I don't think, you know, um, I don't know, like I've always been used to my own space. So I'm the youngest out of 3 brothers, and I'm the only girl. So being by myself was never an issue.
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's given me room to move into it's probably why I'm so passionate about the metaphysical way of life because I could just explore that. And I knew from an early age that I wasn't by myself, even though I couldn't put it into words. And now the older I get, the more I realize that, I'm never alone and I've got my spirit guides.
Yeah.
I've got these things pushing me around, not literally, obviously.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'll ask a question. Have you had like so a lot of people have had a defining moment where they were awakened or aware spiritually. Was there a specific moment, or was it just more of an accumulation throughout your life of noticing occurrences?
It was an accumulation. So I was raised in the church, Pentecostal church, and they were pretty strict in what you could do and you couldn't do, or else you'd go to hell. Um, But I noticed as I started getting older, I would notice that people were nicer outside of the church than they were in the church. So that was slowly started opening my eyes to that, and I was, sexually abused as a you know as a child within the church. So that was sort of like, so that was an that would have been an accumulation of that sort of trauma. Um, that it was pretty noticeable that that shouldn't be happening in a church, in a safe environment. I mean,
Yes,
um,
I agree.
but yeah, but and then people were so much nicer to me outside of the church, which were the people that I was told were going to hell. Um, so that was, that didn't make sense to me as to why that would be. But um, my parents divorced when I was 15. So that was, that was another area of my life that sort of pushed me into the direction that opened my eyes a little bit more into realizing that things aren't what people tell you they are. So we continued going to church after that, and but then my mum slowly couldn't. Um, I think she detached from the church, and it didn't make sense to her either. A lot of the things that they were preaching. So we sort of like all stopped going to church altogether, even though,
Hmm.
they said we were going to go to hell. But, at the end of the day, if you're not happy where you're supposed to be with God, and at the end, we realized, well, I realized personally that God is everywhere.
Hmm.
And, you don't have to, it's not defined by a church, or it's not defined by whatever the people in a building tell you that
Yes.
uh, you have to do. So that was a pretty, you know, um, rough patch in
Um,
my life.
I Yeah, I understand that. Uh, and going through again, like a lot of it is, you see that a lot of the people are awakening in the community to that, or there are people here in the States. We have what's referred to as the Bible Belt, so there are people still in the paradigm where even energy healing seems extremely foreign to them. Um,
Mhm.
how, like, are you experiencing anything in that sense of connecting with people where you're at with in a religious community? Is it in that type of paradigm?
So I've moved away from the church, and I've moved states altogether. So I don't keep close to the people that I grew up with in the church. But through the QHHT, which I do, which is working in the quantum field,
Hmm.
accessing people's higher subconscious. The first time I spoke to my mum about it, she was, she had her reservations because she didn't, we learned that at church that anything that you can speak to is not of God.
Right.
And so, like, why, that was weird because how can you channel yourself? That who are you talking to? Who talks back? And where do you get all this information from with your own voice?
Right.
So that was
I
hard. So I spoke to my mum. It's you, your subconscious, and then the layers. And anyway, I got her to try it. So I do sessions with her in Spanish, and she's able to connect with her higher self, and have a whole broad of questions that we ask, and which now she understands it, and she's been able to incorporate her higher self into her, you know, normal day awareness. but trying to explain that to someone that was
Right.
fixated in the devil and
Yeah, it is
all
a
sorts of things.
it's been like a bridge for me. It's I know for me, but also other people in this group, to bridge the gap between it, and it's kind of why story time is here. Is we have a common thread or a common theme that actually can tie religion with the metaphysical in a way that doesn't break the religious faction. It just shows that it's a story repeating itself, and oftentimes through different mythologies, different histories, different belief systems, even. So,
Yeah,
yeah. But hey, I applaud you for you're opening your mother's eyes to that, because it's been difficult for some people. I know a lot of light workers that talk about it, that go through a lot of abuse and trauma, some of it with family. A lot of people cut cords. Yeah, they're not able to
yeah,
bridge that so much. Um,
yeah. I think her like the divorce for her was sort of like a way of her finding her voice and being able to experience more things, knowing that she's in a safe environment and that nothing's going to harm her.
yeah.
And nobody ridiculing her. Like my dad was really had a lot of narcissistic tendencies, and he'd put things in her head, saying, like apart from there was a lot of verbal abuse that and domestic violence that he put her through, or he put the whole family through, because obviously that was a learnt behavior from him, from his upbringing, and thought that that was the right way. And as anyway, the point is that she was able to push through and realize that it's okay to try new things, even though it doesn't make sense. Like, at least she'll give it a go. And the reason she tried it is because I did it on my brother first, and
Hmm.
then he called her a chicken. So like, oh, you talk about trying new things, and look at you, you're a chicken. You can't even, you don't even want to try this. Like, joking. And then so she's like, oh, fine, I'll try it. But she was really scared, she said at the start. But then she realized it was nothing out of this world. And, sometimes it's useful to, or someone holding space for you while you connect to your higher self.
Yes.
And yeah, and she realized that, it was like, so it's a gentle process, that it's through like a meditation that you are able to connect to other layers of your multidimensional self.
Yes.
And so she, eventually and after she did the sessions with me, she would find that there's things that she could help herself with, like physically, like if there was something, a pain in her body that she was carrying around from the abuse. She was able to heal that for herself. And she felt like at peace after a session was done on her. So she was able to get a clear picture as to why she has a trauma, like a trauma of swimming. Like, there was a drowning in her past life, so that was able to she was able to find out why that was there, and she was able to let go of it. So
That does make
yeah.
sense. It's often what we do within our core. We use quantum to heal as well, and a multiverse. So, and what you're talking about is what some refer to as the Akashic Library, which would be their past lives. And it is, a lot of people have past lives that today um, is affecting their bodies today. There were things that
Yeah.
didn't go through in those lives, or traumas that they didn't heal from, that just carried into their soul like a scar into their
Hmm.
essence today. So I do understand that the that particular paradigm, that ideal of seeing that and healing that in a person. Do
Yeah.
you do you do a session as like a meditation session with music for healing?
So it's not music. It's just sort of I go through a. It's like a. It's like I'll just be talking through the session and getting people to visualize things. So first it'll be like a bird, a cat, a dog. So I'm activating that part of the brain, and then there's like a pyramid of light for protection that we put on, and then the person sort of imagines a beautiful place, and then after the beautiful place, then they have the ability to make their mind wander, and then they're able to talk to me back, and then we're able to go back into time and space, and then they're in another area. So there's no music involved. It's just me talking pretty much on a script that takes people back into a different lifetime. Like some people experience parallel lives, some people go back to this life, but like a future version of themselves or whatever they need to see for them to get clear picture or let go of something that they didn't realize that they were carrying around. So I'm not sure if I've explained that correctly, but there's no music involved. It's just pretty much
Okay.
a script to go back in time.
Okay. No, that I understand. Again, the healing that takes place here, a lot of it is instantaneous. It does. Uh, Scott is the way that he's taught a lot of the what you call the quantum hypno healing
Mhm.
therapy, but a more in a sense, a lot of it is more instantaneous, at least with as my experience with him. Um, but also again using that like parallel life, the multiverse, we've used that as well to bring a version of yourself that it doesn't have an affliction into yourself,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
like a swap in a way, and then figure out why, as you're saying, like why are they holding on to it's like an anchor or a shadow,
Yeah.
which is what you call shadow work or that inner
Mhm.
healing. um I find it really cool that you're doing it's cool but really good that you're doing the like the walkthrough. um and I only ask for music because a lot of times people do like a music in the background. The vibrational frequency heals. We've done that as
Mhm.
well. We affect other spaces with vibration, with emotions, energy, motions. So, but
Yeah. There are different varieties of the same thing. There's other people that use that, but
mhm,
I yeah, I tend not to. I haven't. I like to use it as I haven't. I like to use it just as is, so you don't overcomplicate things and then trying to explain to someone that you're trying to take them back into a trauma and not. Because, like, I find that sometimes when you're trying to explain it to someone, it overcomplicates the situation, and then they get anxious over the over the explanation. So,
yeah,
you know, so far I've just I just like to use it as simply as I can in order for them to get what they need. But there's different versions of different things that um, you can accomplish the same thing pretty much. But it's I didn't 2 years ago. I didn't even know this sort of modality existed. So I was pretty excited once I came across it. And the founder of the lady that worked with in this field was Dolores Cannon.
hmm,
I'm not sure if you heard of her name before, but
yes,
yeah. So she was the first time that I heard one of her lectures on YouTube. I was captivated by what she was saying, but then my monkey mind came through, and then it's like, why am I listening to this old lady? You know, like, because that's what you do with the ego, and you judge what you don't
Right.
realize. So I took it off, and then I went to do something else, and then I came back the second time, and then she came on my phone again, and then I'm like, oh, so I tuned in for a couple of more seconds, and then again I turned it off, and I'm like, oh, why am I watching this? And the third time I came back, and then I'm like, oh well, I better tune in, because like what she was saying was interesting, and it kept on bringing me back. Like I couldn't let go of, I couldn't stop watching it. So from then on, I was hooked. And then I watched so many of her lectures on YouTube, and then I booked myself for the experience with one of the interns. So I think an intern has to do 25 sessions for free in order to get the accreditation. So I went into the website, looked for the nearest intern, and I booked myself for 3 of them. And then, so the first one was, like I didn't realize what had happened. Like it was sort of like it was just me, I thought. And then the second one, there was a little bit more. There was like an angel that was flying above us. And then the practitioner's like, do you feel that? There's an angel above. And then like I can hear the flapping, she was saying. And then, yeah, the third one was, so eventually I've been meeting all these people that are in the same journey as me.
Hmm.
Um, and then I booked myself in for to study, what she taught. And yeah, I got my accreditation through that. And I've been, yeah, holding space for people that that are in the same journey as I've been. And yeah, it's been really a really rewarding experience knowing that we're not alone and that we can tap into our multidimensional selves whenever we want to. And you don't even need anybody holding space for you. Like you can do it yourself. Anybody can do it, but
It's
sometimes it's easier.
right to unlock, have somebody help you unlock that, or to realize it. Yeah, I find that awesome
Mm,
that you're doing that. It's
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, like so whoever wants to experience that, I'm free. Yeah. Um yeah. I I'm just learning and regrouping, and you know taking it that step further every time. Like I want to know different things. I don't want to just stay. Oh yeah, I know this. Um, that's cool, and then let that be it. But I want to learn more. I want to push the boundaries a little bit more, and just yeah. And right now, I've just been connecting with different people that are like-minded people that are in the same journey as me, that haven't, with the agenda of the world at the moment,
Yeah.
they've been pretty brave souls to say no to whatever's going on in the world. And I think that's obviously pushed everybody to the limit, to what to stand up for themselves and be like, no, I'm not going to participate, which was definitely a learning curve for me, because I've always been a yes sir, we
Yes.
even though like I've resisted all through my life about different things, but eventually I give in. And this time I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I had to, you know, um,
Yeah.
I had to experience the being an outsider of my own, even, the people around me looking at me, wondering, because I've always been, that outsider. But since I was told to participate, I did until the mandates came in, and then I realized that, yeah, I'm different. I'm not like everybody else. I don't stand for everything that people classify as normal. I like to have my my own opinions, and I am
Well,
in control of my own body, because
yes.
being
I
being in the church, that was not something you would do.
Well, yes, and I would think, I mean, like your soul, your higher soul, like is your higher self that you're in contact with, it didn't equate on your path. I would
Mm.
think it just didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, and a lot of people in the spiritual, in the light worker, and they've said it, and I know in my experience, but again, this is not my story time. And when you come here and you just feel like you don't belong in this world, and it's more of, oh no, the world doesn't equate to what it's supposed to look like, or what your soul came here to learn. It's not equating to that. It's not, we're supposed to in a way change that to, like you just said, stand up, um and have those questions and kind of break that mold, break the box out, you know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah,
Not limit
but
yourself.
yeah, which most, like a lot of people I know, including myself, have been doing just to fit into society. But if I think about it, like, I've never been one to fit in ever. Um,
No,
even
we're here to break the mold on that.
so yeah, like this was just a for me to remember, that you're not here to be like everybody else.
Hmm.
So you need to find what you're supposed to find, and then move on, and then help the others sort of build that bridge, be that bridge to, being scared and being, because, we're so used to being told what to do, and then we'll just go and do it. But it's about awakening first, and then helping the others awaken to the agenda, and to help themselves stand up for themselves. It's not just, yes, when do I get my next booster?
Right.
So yeah.
um so when you're help people awaken up to that, have you, and your manifestation abilities, it's waking them up and bridging to that, like you were just saying, this kind of conformity where they're real, when you people realize that whatever emotion or energy movement that they're in actually affects their surroundings. So in that control sense, it's giving our control to somebody else, as opposed to taking, like you said, taking your control back for you and manifesting your reality around you.
Hmm.
And as you're talking about like this, what we've been saying is like a collective. The more people that share the collective, a collective idea of the community, of waking people up, of connecting and healing themselves and healing others, the more that we manifest that in a collective way, instead of what they're telling us or what programming they're programming us for.
Yeah, exactly
Mm.
right. Yeah. So that's why, I've been collecting people, or opening myself up to connect with people more, and instead of being just closed up, thinking whatever I want to think on the day, um, actually vocalizing it, and having those people around me that haven't you know haven't conformed with what they were saying. And yes, it's been hard, but you know at the end of the day, we're winning this war.
Yes.
um you know slowly but surely, like we're not, everybody else is watching. And the like even the people that I was very close to, on a 9 to 5 job, when I said I'm not, when there were protesters going on, they thought that I would have been with the pack. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I had to leave my 9 to 5 job. But that I hadn't been happy in for a while. But that was hard. That was hard. Even though I wasn't happy in it, it's still that comfort of knowing that, I won't have a paycheck and I won't
Right.
know where my pay is coming from. Obviously that was uh, scary to a point, especially when people, you've got dependents and people telling you, well, what are you going to do? What do you know? You don't have
Yes.
any choices. It's like, well, yeah, no, I do. And yeah, I'll find a way.
Well,
And yeah, everything has worked out in the end. But, um, and there are different ways that people have been able to support themselves, so it's not just working at a 9 to 5 that you can find.
well, it's what people call the rat race. It's the to fit in. The you're told what life should look like when you get here instead of experiencing life when you get here.
Mm,
And you're put in that
mhm,
fear base where if you don't make X amount of money, you don't have a car, you don't have a job, you're gonna die or not survive. And it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, we didn't come here
mm,
with
exactly.
like as a number. We don't have a dollar sign on us when we come here, and yet it's the way society does treat you, oftentimes.
Yeah.
So
Mm. And
that
yeah.
and
And when we die, there's nothing that we can take with us anyway. So
right, right. I mean, and as being a light being inside, you're constantly in that light. I mean, light goes on unless something is blocking it, a shadow.
hmm,
You can continue going. Um,
yeah.
and so a lot of times when I tell, because I know people ask when they are waking up, okay, well, what's my purpose? They know it's not a 9 to 5 job. They know it's
Of
not,
course. Yeah.
and I always I do my best to ask, like, okay, then what is your passion? If you didn't have to worry about anything at all, money or anything else, what is it that you do
Yeah.
that comes out of your soul? So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, even for you, what's your passion? What is that inspires you?
Well, I like connecting with people. Never realized. I, never, I didn't even realize I wanted to, because I've always been such a loner for, so many times in my life. Like I was, but is where now is the remembering of that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to um, build that bridge, build that gap, um, and connect with people instead of just being in my own little bubble, just in Jazz's land of whatever is happening. And I do like a lot. I'm very artistic as well, which I've put that aside for a while, but I need to get back into that. So, like, I love drawing and painting, but for some reason, I think it's that whole thing of being lost in the way, and then you forget what your passions were as a kid, and you just live in the life you think you're supposed to live in.
Yeah.
But in the end, you need to come back to yourself and reflect, go inside, go in, because so we've been taught to go out. If we need something, we need to search for it outside of ourselves. And the learning for me has been to go within.
Yes.
Nobody can tell me what my passion is. I need to figure that out by myself.
Yeah.
Um,
What you came here, same thing. And what I would say is, you come here with just your soul. You're not wearing any clothes. You're born here,
mhm,
and that's the same thing you leave with. But in that in between, it's like, okay, so if I came here with my soul, and yes, we are here for a purpose. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to experience human life. What is it that our soul purpose is, that drives you? And a lot of, do like you said, people kind of lose that in between, and it is from the society and such, and what we're told that it should look like, or what parents were told that they're telling you that it should look like, and they were told so, this generational kind of conformity.
mhm.
And I encourage you to actually keep doing your artwork. I'm an artist myself, so to anybody who says they draw, I'm like, okay, keep doing it.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. I was just, like you just get so lost in the way. And then there was, alcoholism in my past there as well, and a lot of time trying to find myself, and then so that's why I was searching, like everybody, like a lot of people have been searching, because obviously the 9 to 5, I've never wanted to climb that ladder. I just knew I could, I find things easy to do, so I just would do them because everybody tells you need to get paid, and you got to find a job. They don't tell you find a job within your passion. Just find a job. So for a long time, I was, trying to find myself, and then until I was told to get a job, so I got a job, and I've been, working, but it wasn't till recently that I was able to connect to what I like doing, and thinking outside. But it's all about that connect. If you can't connect to yourself, then it's pretty hard to find it outside in
yes.
society.
Yeah.
So anybody
It's
looking for their passion, they have to go inside.
yeah. It's that self love. It's like, how can you love somebody else if you don't even love yourself to a degree? You know. So,
Yeah.
and inner child healing the wounds, the traumas. And I feel,
Hmm.
and as you shared, that a lot of light workers do go through a lot of traumas in the beginning, because it's almost like we learn, okay, this is not what life's supposed to be about, and we were here doing this,
Hmm.
and now it's time to break it, to break that, the trauma happening, the conformity, like we've been talking about. um and it does help, is like you said, to connect to people in order to wake them up, to be aware, to cause a ripple to go through.
Hmm. Hmm.
um
Yeah.
and raise the vibration, I guess. I would say yes, but yes, raise the vibration on, having people come into that, let's say, bandwidth, or radio station, so.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you, because it's so hard. It's for me personally, I've found it so hard to, people are like, "Oh, just meditate." Yeah, okay, but I fall asleep when I meditate, so you know what I mean.
Yes.
It's easy for other people that have different experiences, perhaps, but not, we can't all be, awesome meditators and just tune in to where we need to be. So different modalities to explore in and get the same result is super beneficial to whoever wants to experience it.
Yeah.
And it's not anybody else. I mean, there is guides that sometimes come into the sessions. There's different spiritual leaders that have passed, or somebody that has a message for humanity can come into these sessions as well. So there's a lot to be experienced from just our everyday awareness, our 3D thoughts, and so it's super beneficial to find someone to hold space for you that you trust, and if that's the way that is going to get you your answers, and the way you're going to be able to connect to that different radio station, then yeah, I'd highly recommend anybody do it. And you're not, it's not as scary as people think it is. Especially people with religious backgrounds like myself. Like I mentioned, my mum was super. She was super alert about it. She didn't want to try it because she didn't know what she was going to get, like who was going to come in, and nobody can come into your space. That's why someone's holding space for you without your approval. So it's so I have used her in because she can connect so clearly. She's such a clear channel. I have used her as a surrogate for a friend of mine that went blind in one eye.
Oh, wow.
And so she was able to go in and assess her vessel and fix the eye. But at the start, she had trouble connecting because there was her higher self, there was a guard there protecting the body.
Oh.
And so she came to the realization that nobody can do anything to you against your will in that state. And we had permission from, my friend to help her with the eye, but I had to get her to say it out loud and say, I give permission for Sarah, my mum, to help me heal the eye. And so there was like a vein obstructing the eye that she was able to push back. And then the interesting thing about it was that she went to the hospital after my friend. So like this is all within the quantum field. My mum was in one state, my friend was in another state. And then we were just working in the quantum with for her, trying to see if we can get her to see again. So she went to the hospital after the session was done. And then what I told her in the session, the doctors told her afterwards that there was a vein obstructing the eye. And then, but she wanted to, have a double take on it because,
right.
Nobody knows anything unless you're a doctor. You're not a doctor. It's like, well,
Yeah, a lot of people question it. And it is, I mean, I don't know how the medical is where you are. I do see it in a global thing, but normally, even me, for myself to go to a hospital I'm in the US, the way the medical structure is set up is, again, they make patients. I mean, that's something I've been through, but even to go get checked out to get that opinion, they will find something wrong so that you can come home with some meds so they could make money off of that. So it's like, yeah, I want to go get checked out to see we did this healing and I healed said shoulder and all this. But yet I don't want to go get checked out because I do not want to come home with a list of meds and funds and this is not. So I do find that that is really a really awesome story that you're able to, and it's able to verify now with somebody in a medical field that has happened and what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, my friend unfortunately is taking her baby steps towards the quantum, but if I guess that, unless you're at that stage in your life that you're willing to see something else or believe in something else apart from yourself. And we are conditioned to think of that we're victims, but we're so powerful, like even our thoughts, even, what we say to ourselves when nobody's watching, like we are just, if we noticed what we say to ourselves and to flip that when we're being negative, to think of a positive, or think, 5 positives to a negative, and to stay, like, change your vibration that way, instead of, because, you think of a bad thought and then you think of, it just goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's the way, that's because, this, and that's because, so and so did that to me. And we're not victims. We're here to break that. Like, whatever's happened has happened,
Hmm.
and we need to move on. We need to move forward. We need to break through.
Yeah. It is that, like, okay, so it happened to me, and yet, man, it's everything is for me. Everything's a lesson, and no, certain things shouldn't have happened, but they did. So you take that as a lesson instead of holding on to that baggage, and you're able to go and look at it. Okay, what did I learn from this? And then let the negative aspect of it go. And yet, and instead of letting it kind of invade your life pervasively or be stuck in that loop in your mind, which again, it's like that, it's like hell space. What you consider hell is that loop in your mind that you get stuck in over and over, those conditions. And I
Yeah.
often say, like, okay, quantum is 4D. We are in a 3D body. Quantum is 4D. It's time that doesn't technically exist. Um, and breaking that conditions to unconditional love is what we call, what people are saying, they're stepping into 5D or fifth
Hmm.
dimension. It's that unconditional love to go, okay, I see you, you're hurting. I don't have to judge that, the ego, like you're saying, the judgment part, the I'm afraid, and because I went through this and you're going to do this to me, you're going to hurt me, that I'm going to
Hmm.
judge you for that. So breaking that and going, listen, I know that you went through a trauma and I went through a trauma, and it's not really a
Hmm.
competition of traumas. It's more of the
No, absolutely.
I accept and love you for who you are,
Hmm.
with that, whichever you're dealing with. And there are people that are, I can honestly say, they're becoming awake, and some of them are continuing to play that role, or um, we are, if you really look at a biblical term, apocalypse just means the unveiling. It means kind of like you're taking your masks
Hmm.
off, you're becoming that light inside. There are still people playing their role, even though they're told that you don't have to do that anymore. So that's where
Yeah.
we start calling out the, wait a second, this isn't right.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where we, people need to see each other in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hurting, what can I do to help you? See that you're so much, that you can do anything that you put your mind to. You're not a victim. You know, and that's what these quantum sessions are for me. The fact that I have been in a pretty dark place, and I'm sure a lot of people have been too. That, you know, me being a playing victim was all I knew.
Yeah.
So, what if we could flip that and, leave that behind and just move on with a different mindset,
Yeah.
knowing that, you know, everybody is brothers and sisters, and I can help. I see myself in you and I can help you because I've been through something similar, or I know what it's like. And helping each other break the molds of what society has made us think for so long, that, we're worthless, or we don't, we're not valuable as people. And if we don't have a job, if we don't have a house, if we don't have a fancy car or whatever, then we're not worthy of people's time. Or if we don't follow the latest celebrity or whatever, you know that's something in itself,
Mm-hmm.
that you need to remember that you are light, and all this noise around you doesn't matter.
Mm-mm. It's just, it's the, what we were talking about. So home space, where our, the
Mm.
heart space, that 5D space, that moment of where no shackles are, we're making that here. We're bringing it here. And to do that
Mhm.
would connect with people and help them be aware of what they're doing to give their light, their power away by putting their attention on things that don't matter. Like you just said, just it doesn't matter. The car didn't, the money, even first. That's why it's difficult for myself with funding for even me. Like I'm on bare minimum most of the time, is because I have the paradigm where I don't. Money doesn't. It's not something that drives me. So
Mhm.
people are like, you can get abundance and attract it, and I go, it just, yeah, I see it that in a moment where we're still in the paradigm of believing you're using it. I get it that it's something you use to survive in a sense, but I don't worry on it. I know something will. It's not something I'm worried on. It's just it doesn't
Mm.
drive me. What drives me is to talk to people. It drives me to paint and let people see that painting. You know,
Mhm.
heal, like you're saying, and when you give like that, that is what is being returned. It's like the universal law of exchange. What becomes returned to you is
Mhm.
your own safety. You are safe, and once you start manifest, once you believe that, that resonates out. When you manifest that you're safe or believe that you're safe, it comes out in your space, in your reality space. When you believe that you're, like you said, not a victim, then you don't have that manifests out in your as a positive in your space, like you're talking,
Mhm.
positive negatives, it goes out. So
Yeah.
your space around you actually will start changing.
Mhm.
And that's the whole quantum thing, like light, like in quantum theory, when you're looking at quantum physics, how particles that are two different particles can, that's the whole entanglement, can, if something reacts and one particle in another space can have a reaction to another particle somewhere else that is a totally different particle, totally different,
Absolutely.
a different person.
Mhm. Mhm.
That would be
Yep.
the energy motions, the emotions, the
Mhm.
all of that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I find it interesting.
That's fine.
I'm
Thanks.
thanking you for joining us. We have gone about 53 minutes almost.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to you more and hear more stories you have, more healing sessions that you have. And you're always welcome to join through our Discord. We do healing if you'd like to be a part of any of that as well, any of the healing circles, or bring what you got, or bring other people. It's up to you. Um,
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank
well,
you for inviting me, putting that yeah, for the opportunity to, you know, help other people that might be in the same position or have experienced the same issues.
yeah,
And yeah, you know, yeah, I'm happy to discuss anything with anyone. I have seen the chats that go on at Discord with the landing zone, is it?
yes,
And yeah, I resonate highly with a lot of the people there. But so I will definitely taking up be taking you up on that
yeah.
invite.
Thank
Yeah,
you. And
yeah.
I hope to have you back. And for everybody who's listening, is there anything that you wanted to say to close out to people?
Anyone that wants healing, you know, I do have a website, so it's optimumhealing.com. So that's optimum OPTIMUM healing HEALN.com. So I provide free sessions or as a donation base for anybody that is interested. But at the end of the day, I just want to help people
Hmm.
reconnect to themselves. So people usually get, you know, scared by money. um, these quantum sessions do go for 300 to 700. I've seen. So, you know, I don't want any of that to be getting in the way of people's healing and connecting to themselves. So, if anybody wants to push in the right direction, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Happy to talk to anyone that's feeling lost and that might think that I would be able to help them. Yeah, I'm open to to connecting with more lovely people and being useful.
You have a purpose and you're a beautiful soul. And I thank you for joining us on the story time. And I look forward to joining for having another podcast with you.
Nice. Thanks, Rose.
All right.